Welcome back to 8 Cubes, the show where we talk about the 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap. Normally, we start with the new cards of the week, but this time it's draft. Draft mode is planned to be out by the time this episode drops. We're recording it the day before, so we don't have any express knowledge of how things are going to go, on if they're going to crash or not, on if the mode will be playable, on if the mode will be good. We don't know. But what I actually wanted to start with was, I think the biggest potential disappointment that I've seen in draft mode, and I know it sounds like a little bit, of course, the Marvel Snap community is starting with a disappointment. Oh, okay. But is that it is a limited time game mode and not a permanent addition to the game. And I guess I just wanted to start the conversation there because I think that's probably going to be where a lot of discourse starts, and it's going to be what people are going to want takes on. I am joined by Husky Puppies, and we're going to start with what his take on that is.
Okay, so I think it's actually a good thing that it's a limited time game mode to start.
Okay.
I think that's a big caveat. I think my tinfoil hat theory, and we'll see how much tinfoil is on there, is that they're starting this off as a limited time game mode to, one, drive up demand. Limited time, oh, it's limited, you got to get in there fast. They want people to play it, to try it out. Second, I think for balancing reasons, it's a lot easier for the second dinner team to go in, say, okay, after this is all done, what went well, what didn't, what do we need to fix, how many crashes are there? Because there's going to be at least one bug. It's a card game. That's entirely natural. But I think taking some time off where the mode is down will allow them to bring it back even better. I'm really hoping that becomes a permanent mode, assuming it's as good as it's been hyped up to be. Because I don't think any event has been really as hyped as draft mode from both within the community and without.
That's sort of the thing about this to me, where it's like, I think community expectations, like, I don't know how many people in the community have ever played a Marvel Snap draft mode. I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've played some Marvel Snap fan-made draft modes. They have, with all due respect to the people who made them, invariably been pretty not good. And the lead designer of draft mode, Sam Stoddard, did an interview with GameSpot, where he talked about all of the challenges that go into designing a draft mode and trying to meet the player base where they are. And one of the biggest ones is that it's very difficult to find a card game that is less set up for draft mode than a game like Marvel Snap, which has limited cards and cards that are very archetype specific. How do you let people draft if half the cards in the pack are like MODOK or whatever? That's not a great draft experience. So what they landed on was a little bit more streamlined, and I'm kind of interested to see like how that ends up making people feel about the experience of playing draft, because my best guess is that if they're doing things like this, there are two major concerns. Major concern number one is they're not sure the mode has the longevity that they would want if they were to jam it in as a permanent mode. Everyone was really excited for Conquest until they realized that it actually kind of sucked to do every month, right? Like that kind of thing is not something you can predict based on initial reception. The initial reception to Conquest was pretty positive. It just gradually started to feel like something that wasn't actually an important part of the game. And I think that that's the other thing, is that if they want this to feel like an important part of the game, they have to put the work in. I've seen a lot of complaints recently about other game modes that just don't seem to have a lot of love thrown at them. The decks that came out in the last Grand Arena, the fact that this is a Grand Arena that ran just a few days ago that was actually Arena Grande and nobody told anybody, and like just a bunch of stuff like the ban lists I've seen people complain about, like nobody's updated these ban lists in forever. Just stuff like that feels like the kind of thing that they will need to get on top of if they want the community to buy into this, right? They will need to be iterating and working on this and making sure that it actually feels like a cohesive experience. And yes, I think they will need to be bringing it back. And I think that like that is a very real concern that they would have, is like, are we sure? We know how Conquest went. We don't want to put something in the client that is not necessarily what people want in the client. And the second one is, I'm really interested to see how they monetize this as an LTGM and
Yep.
what would have to change if they were to conquest it. Because my instinct is, I think the conquest model actually makes a ton of sense for a draft mode, right? You spend 3 weeks of the season doing piddly stuff for piddly rewards, practicing, and then in the last week of the season, that's when you can seriously earn the rewards. And I kind of think that's a pretty good model. When you zoom out, it's pretty similar to how, like, sometimes MTG Arena will have, like, you know, you build up your tickets by which you can enter this tournament over the course of time, and then you enter the tournament a couple times. I think Once Upon a Galaxy does it like that. You get some tickets, and then you get a couple entries in the tournament. That kind of model makes sense for me with draft, but I'm not sure it would be the kind of thing that would scan to this player base. So I think the big thing is, I think it's fine that they're doing this. I just think that they should make it clear what their plans are for this game mode, because they're clearly investing a lot in it, a lot of hype, a lot of marketing, and a lot of, like, off ramps from it too, right? Like, when you think about what those free decks that they're giving out are, those free decks are saying, hey, stick around after draft mode ends. You can play the normal game. It's pretty cool too. And I think that, like, as long as they're willing to go that extra mile and put that love in and put that work in, I think this makes sense. But I do understand why people might be like, why aren't you 100% sure that we're going to love this, bro? Where's the confidence at?
Couldn't agree more. It's I'm just very happy it's a roguelike.
Next up, Red Hulk Fractured Frontier. Red Hulk Fractured Frontier, a 3/8 with the ability to lose power for however many cards your opponent has at the location you play it. But if you quick drew it, it gains power instead of losing power, which is a very high potential, high risk card that largely I don't expect to make a ton of waves, but there have been plenty of ways in which I can see this card being kind of clutch, right? It's a card that is effectively Sage output if you top deck it on the quick draw. And if you don't top deck it on the quick draw, you better dump that guy in an empty lane so you can just play him as a 3/8. But that doesn't actually seem like that bad of a card to me. People are down on this guy, and I'm like, you know, I don't hate a 3/7. I don't hate a 3/8. I can play this guy. I hate that he doesn't have the clutch gene early, right? Like, I hate that I can't do Iron Patriot stuff with him. And 3s are really strong right now. Kraglin's really good. Jane Foster's really good. So there's not necessarily a lot of reason to play this guy instead of Jane Foster. Jane Foster is like if this guy was never bad. So I do think that's definitely pushing against him, but I don't think he's as bad as advertised.
I mean, yeah, I think I agree with that. I don't think he's as bad as advertised, but the problem I see is there is only really this town ain't big enough for more than 1 to 2 good 3 drops, and we already have Kraglin and Jane Foster, and Jane Foster works well with Venus and is like a 3/12 if you quick draw it, where Red Hulk is sometimes a 3/12 if your opponent does things. And I love relying on what my opponent does to get, you know, my mediocre card that I only sometimes get value out of. No, just this card is just a worse version of other things we have. Maybe you can play it in a deck with Luke Cage to mitigate the downside, and that'll be decent enough. I mean, it's not bad. It's just that there are better things, that it's very hard to think of a scenario where I would rather play Red Hulk. And I mean, I guess it could be a budget pick, but it costs the same amount as the other cards that are better than it. So
not much of a budget
of the day, yeah, like it.
I got my fake Rick Owens for the same price as some real Rick Owens.
Yeah. Like, end of the day, the only reason I'm playing this is because I got unlucky in a pack and just randomly got it.
I actually do have a pair of fake shoes that I should have known they were fake. I got them on eBay. They're the Nike Mind slides. And I got them for like retail price on eBay, which I should have known immediately. They arrived loose in a bag, and they look identical, but boy, do they squeak. And I'm pretty sure that's because they are in fact fake.
Loose in a bag.
Loose in a bag.
Like Ziploc or
no, like the bag they were shipped in. There's just 2 shoes in the bag.
Of course.
Hellcow Fractured Frontier is a card I was pretty high on before we figured out what the Scorpion deck was, and now I'm not sure the Scorpion deck needs it, because my original vision for Hellcow Fractured Frontier, who is a 3/3 end of turn, afflict all the cards here with -1 power. If yours are 0 or below, they get blown up. That's a cool-ass card, but what I really want out of it is I want it to be in my Scorpion deck, bridging me from being an all-in combo deck to being a deck that is about doing more than just all-in combo. And I kind of think it'll still be able to do that. I do think this is going to be an improvement to the Scorpion deck, probably, because it's still just a third thing that can actually win a lane. But because it's not multi-lane, and the decks are so combo heavy right now, like every Scorpion deck is just a combo deck. There is no like, oh, sometimes I'll mid-range it out. No, we are playing Magic, Luna Snow, Psylocke, Fractured Frontier. We are a combo deck. Don't get it twisted. We're comboing every time. That's the only thing we're doing. And if we aren't doing that, we're going to lose. And I used to think the path forward for the deck was that it became a half and half deck. But it doesn't have to do that in a world where so many people are playing Thanos Fractured Frontier midrange. It can just be a full combo deck. And so I was very high on Hellcow Fractured Frontier. And to be clear, I still think she's going to be good. But I think I'm a little less high on her now that Scorpion has actually become kind of the premier combo deck of the metagame, because I'm not sure they need her anymore.
Yeah, I don't think this card really ever or the Scorpion deck really ever needed this card, as sad as it is. Because this card is a very cool design that makes you think, oh, what can I do with this card? You know, maybe, oh, I have a little bit of Marrow synergy or something weird. I don't know. Maybe Bucky Barnes. Someone's going to do some weird things with this card. And it's not going to be good, but it's going to be cool. Yeah, but the Scorpion deck, I played that. It is still absolutely bonkers and does not need a singular lane-winning card that does not help you get to the combo part of your combo deck. Yep. You would be making your matchups worse into pretty much everything. So I think we're asked the question, where else does this card go? And initial thoughts is, you know, it's pretty darn good points against, in maybe an Ajax deck. I like that a lot.
We're going to pretend that exists?
I mean, that's the problem. It doesn't. Luke Cage is the most splashable tech card at the moment, and it's okay. I'm an afflict deck that has an older brother that just does everything that I do better than me, and if people are teching against my older brother, they just also beat up me. So where does this card go? I don't know. My one problem with this card is it being an end of turn really hurts Malekith, which is my absolute favorite part of any Affliction deck. Hey, looky there, you know, being able to fish out your Hazmat when you don't have your Hazmat is phenomenal. And I have been a big proponent of Malekith plus Grandmaster in some of those decks, just to really reach deep, and it's so much fun. And then Hellcow seems like a good card that doesn't really have a home.
I bet it plays in Aurora.
Oh.
Because Aurora is a deck that can run Luke Cage to protect its own stuff in the lane, at least in the front. And it's an end of turn card, and Aurora loves having end of turn cards, and it's an end of turn card that is big.
My one problem with that is if you don't get the Luke Cage, Aurora decks really want to have a lot of small bodies.
But I do think that, like, you know, in terms of the size of 3 costs that Aurora can run, it's as big as anything, honestly.
It's like, is it better than, like, I know it's not a good card, but like Drax?
Yeah, I think that's sort of the issue, right? Like, you have 2 3 costs that are probably spoken for. That's Venus and that's Jane Foster. It's not better in either of those, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I don't think they're even running Drax, and I don't think it's all that much better than Drax.
Death Fractured Frontier, 5/8. Revive your destroyed cards. Or Actually, I think it says resurrect because there's no keyword consistency here. Those are both just apparently flavor words. But the cards that got blown up this game and are in the graveyard, so to speak, come back to the board. Now, Husky, you sort of pioneered the Thanos version of this, which is to say the version that I like because it's a mid-range deck as opposed to all the combo deck versions of this. Where would your head be at on how good this card actually is?
At a high level, this card is sadly not good. I love the deck that I made so much. Thanos Fractured Frontier, being able to draw towards your other stuff, discount your hand, and being able to play like, oh, a Venom plus, and then activate the Kid Omega to destroy the Venom, and then also Death Fractured Frontier last turn to revive everything is such a cool line that doesn't happen enough. It's no matter which way I put it, I can't do my good things often enough, fast enough, and I feel like I'm just losing. But this card is so cool. It's like I used to be a Hella main. First ever time I got on this channel was because of Hella things.
Yeah, you were the Hella correspondent.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's Danish, and he is still doing insane things with this card, but this gives me that feeling of, oh, it's kind of mid-rangey, it goes a little bit higher than your opponent, but in practice, I can't get it there, and it's so sad, because this card is such a cool design that makes you think, how can I solve this puzzle? And then you're 90% of the way there, and you look in the bag, and there's just, like, 5 puzzle pieces missing.
Yeah, what you're missing is like
puzzle pieces were there.
You're missing like 2-cost Venom.
Yeah,
you're missing like, and it can't be Carnage. It's got to be Venom, right? Like you're missing like the key cards for this deck are the cards that destroy something and keep the power, right?
Yep.
Not the cards that destroy something for some other effect like Misery or Carnage. The cards that destroy something and keep the power of the thing you blew up, right? And there just aren't enough of those. Like the 2-cost Venom that we have is like fastball special. That's bad. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
And we have fastball special and Kid Omega. And if we had like one that was actually good, or if Venom was like a 3/5, just like we're close, right? Like there's something here, but it's not there yet. I wanted to talk about a deck I've been playing a pretty egregious amount of recently, which is the Gambit First Steps. What's his actual name? Horseman of whatever?
Gambit Horseman of Death, yes. I
think. Gambit First Steps. I've been playing a lot of like Thanos double Gambit First Steps recently as a way to just sort of try to be a Thanos deck that beats other Thanos decks. And the basic premise is just like, it's fine, it works, right? Like, that's it, right? Like, you got like Mother Ascani to double it, Thanos Stone can double it, and then the rest of your deck, you activate them basically entirely based on Ascani, Valentina, and Techno Organic Virus. And so they're not always on, but I do think that like one of the things I've noticed recently, this is actually secretly a Venus topic, is that Venus has gotten much, much better since Thanos came out and since Mother Ascani was nerfed. And the big reason for that, or one of them, is that a lot of the decks that Venus wants to play involve buffing a lot of small things. And it's really bad to buff a lot of small things when your opponent is going to play 4 Gambit First Steps. Not a good thing to do. That was a pretty common play line. It's also really bad to buff a lot of small things when your opponent is going to play an 80 power Brood. Not a good thing to do. But those decks got nerfed. Suddenly we're in Captain mid-range Thanos land. Everything is functionally playing at about the average power level of a Batroc deck, and it is much more reasonable to be a Venus deck now. Which is why I'm playing the Gambits. Because I don't want you to have fun. I don't want you to be able to do the, Venus. I was on Reddit two months ago and I told you Venus is good. Wrong. I'm Gambiting you again. It's not happening. We're not letting you do this again. I'm going to play more Gambits. But I mostly bring this up because this is secretly a Venus glazing topic. Because the things that were holding her back, which is combo decks going over the top of her with the old Mother Ascani and Gambit existing with the old Mother Ascani, largely not around or to the same degree as they were at the time. So secretly, Venus, kind of a great card now. And I think that it's time that we are all able to just say straight up, Reddit was right. I mean, they were wrong then, but they're right now. And Venus is really good.
Now that the situation has changed to make them right, they are now right. Yeah.
Yes. What? You've never misplayed and then won anyway? It doesn't not get you cubes, bro.
That's fair. I'll share my thoughts on both Venus and the new Gambit. Venus, I think, got a lot better, especially with the new Thanos card, just because Venus is a card fundamentally where you get the most value from a lot of small buffs. And if Thanos discounts your hand, suddenly your cards that cost 1 are now 100% off. There is no buy one, get one. It is just you get all of them that you have, and your 2 costs are 50% off. And now you can suddenly play a lot of things with, like, Aurora. So I think that's it also does help the normal Thanos. He has 2 buff stones, which is really, really nice, and maybe you can copy her. So I think that's a big reason she has come back into a strong meta position. The best card in the game works really well with her, so of course she's going to be good. For Gambits, little bit of a tangent, but I don't think they're terribly well designed.
I don't disagree.
I think the worst designed card in the game is Bruce Banner, if I'm not counting Arishem.
Wrong. Bruce Banner's amazing. The worst design in the game is so clearly like Warpath or something.
Okay, that's just a bad card. But hear me out.
Like what it's asking of you is like so never a thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
what's the actual worst design in the game?
Shit. Oh no, nobody cares. It's fine. You get it off of an expansion. A card being bad is fine. Bruce Banner's problem is one player is going to feel like, God damn it, I just got scammed. Because if it procs, we're playing against each other. Yeah. If it procs turn 1, I feel great. If it procs turn 1, you feel like shit. If it doesn't proc by like 3 turns
that doesn't make it bad design. Variance existing in the game doesn't make it bad design. In fact, variance existing in the game is arguably positive.
Variance is perfectly fine, but when it's such a huge swing of like 13 points for 1 energy, I think that level of input-output randomness will always make one player feel really bad.
Well, yeah, but it'll make the other player feel really good.
But I think that's a net negative. It's like, why? Yeah, we could have both players, win based on their skill, or one player feel like they got lucky and one person, feel like, fucking hell, why did I lose to this card? This is a terrible card. My opponent just played a 2-14.
I think they'd feel that way anyway, right? As someone who very often sounds like that after losing, it doesn't have a lot to do with the circumstances of my loss. It actually has much more to do with the fact that it was a loss, right? Like, my view is that it's cool to reward skill, and obviously games should do that to some degree, but I also think that that does not make it a failure to make a card that's just like, what's up, here's some cool stuff, especially when that cool stuff is lane located, right? If Bruce Banner was like, win the game 33% of the time, I think we could agree that's bad, but he's not that. He's be really big in a lane 33% of the time, and also you probably are building your deck around doing the thing that he's doing a lot of that time too. You're not just putting Bruce Banner in a deck and just rolling with it. You are paying an attendant cost of, I have this horrendous 2-1 in my deck. I actually think that that is perfectly fine design and not nearly so bad. Where Gambits, I think, if you wanted to point to a flaw in the design of Gambit, the flaw in the design of Gambit is not the random output. The flaw in the design of Gambit is that it's a tech card that is locked to an archetype. That's the problem. They were like, if you want to be able to tech against Batroc, there's only one card that would do it. And it only exists in Victoria Hand for no reason whatsoever. Like, that's when, like, if you want to identify a flaw in the design, like, like, that's what it is to me, is that this is a card that is tech against scalers. It is the best tech against scalers in Marvel Snap. And for some reason, it's functionally an archetype-based scaler.
Yeah.
Like, that's so weird. Whereas Bruce Banner, it's like, I get why people would think that's bad design. I don't agree. I think it's fine for there to be like 2 cards in the game that are just like 33% chance some cool shit happens, right? Is Cersei bad design?
No, but Cersei is so much higher costed it's so much more investment that
Yes.
it makes so much less of a difference. But with cards that are a lot cheaper, like Gambit, that say win the game 33% of the time,
Well,
that just feels bad for. Well, it might not be 33. It's
my
matchup
Gambit's
dependent.
notoriously inaccurate. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and that feels bad. And if it was accurate, your opponent would feel
but
bad.
here's the thing that Gambit and Bruce Banner do that I think is actually meaningful. Okay, they make you stay. They make games hit turn 6.
I mean, yeah,
they do. Like they just do. They give you something that is happening on the final turn of the game that is not locked in, and that is, actually kind of meaningful.
Do you like the New York location?
I actually do.
You do? You changed your mind?
I do.
What?
Yeah, I think
New York
actually provides
that thing.
New York provides a lot of interesting mind games, right? Like, I think some of the most interesting games are where you're just
what about Hella?
Well, no, I don't like Hella, but not because of the randomness. The randomness isn't the problem with Hella. Hella's problem is that whenever she's good, it's just she's sitting on top of every mid-range deck to exist and forces us into combo metas. I don't care about the random distribution of the power because it doesn't matter that the power distribution is random. They're still beating my ass. Like, I don't care where it's going. I'm dead, right? Like, I'm losing to it, right? I think that if anything, Hella's problem is that there's not enough fail rate in it. If anything, Hella's problem is that it doesn't, like, the random outcome almost doesn't matter because the things you're discarding are big enough that who cares? Like, that would be my issue with Hella right at this point, especially now that Stardust exists. I just think that, like, having these cards, like, it's not the world's greatest design solution, but I definitely don't think it's a failure of. I think that there is in this game a need to inject question marks into final turns so people don't just retreat all the time. I think that is real.
Okay, I agree with that sentiment. I want to throw this down to the comments. Like, it just.
Oh, they're gonna kill me.
Which one of us is right?
They're gonna kill me for this. They're gonna say you.
Yeah,
they're gonna say you.
Good.
They're gonna obliterate me because I'm out here as like I'm a good card game player defending RNG. That this is not my audience is not the audience for this. Let's talk a little bit about Cerebro 3. So obviously, Zapgaze won his second Golden Gauntlet with Cerebro 3. It's a very powerful deck in certain contexts. One of those contexts does not appear to be when a bunch of people play it on ladder. Now, I did check some stats. The win rate is below 50% at all ranks. At top 10%, it goes from like 40% to like 49%. And I will also say this. The cube rate is positive at all ranks, which is a very interesting space for a card or a deck to be in for sure. But I think that the big lessons that I took away from Zapgaze's win, my experience playing C3 with him, the video we did, and the attendant stats is that if you're not willing to change everything about how you snap and retreat, you should not play Cerebro 3. And you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to just be like, I'm going to snap this and lose. It's going to happen sometime. And more important than that, though, you have to be willing to say, I'm going to snap this and I'm not going to cope. Because your deck is very face up. They know what you're doing. And you need to be very disciplined about, like, this is an 8-cuber that I'm going to guarantee my 4-cube loss on here. I'm going to retreat on it. And you need to not cope that stuff. And that is really important to Cerebro 3.
Yeah, Cerebro 3, in my mind, I think I have a theory as to why it is so low win percentage but high cubes. C3 feels like the ultimate, hey, what if they don't have it kind of deck, you know? Like, if they don't have that one card that their deck is named after, suddenly they are playing a worse zoo deck with like 2 tech cards. And that's a really good thing for that's some good odds. I like those odds. Let's go gambling. And then you get the problem of if the C3 player has it, they stay and then they beat you. It's an 8-cube loss. But if they don't have it, they only lose 4. So it's
it's rigged in their favor. Big Cerebro.
Yeah. House always wins type of thing. yeah, people are going to stay more often on it because what if they don't have it? A lot of times people are just saving that Cerebro for the last turn. And then when they do have it, they lose. The Cerebro player wins more capital than they lose from being on the other side.
As you know, I've been kind of obsessed with various Thanos lists. That's a big T and little t in the same deck. And I have played a bunch of different lists. I played Hannah's lists. I played Rorum's list with like the Sinister Six combo in there. I played Butt's list, which has Sinister Six for no reason, which is actually Jay Walla's list. I played the ACP list that I did a video on. And then Sizer was like, yo, just jam Sinister Six in there too. There's a lot of Thanos lists. I like all of them. What I'm asking is, A, which one of these do you prefer the most? And B, do you think it has a real chance at taking Aurora's spot as like the default best Thanos FF deck?
I'm going to give you a hot take that I'm not sure if people are going to love me or hate me for. I don't like Thanos with Thanos decks.
Okay.
Not because it's bad, but because it feels incredibly boring and kind of samey. Like, oh, instead of putting actual thought into my deck building, I am just going, hey, I'm just going to quick draw all my things because I'm playing 2 cards with the name Thanos. And looky me, I'm so good at deck building. Add me to the top 100 Minecraft server. Put me on KMBest.
Well, here's the thing is, I actually think there's quite a bit of deck building that goes into it. That's the problem, right?
I mean,
like, cause I like when I talk about all these different Thanos lists, they all do that, but they all have very different cards in them that aren't named Thanos and Thanos.
But it's just that the interesting part of the Thanos, Thanos 2 is, how do I activate the quick draws? How much low cost cards do I play in there? And it's like, a lot of the reason I play this game is to make interesting and fun and cool decks that are at least somewhat unique. And it doesn't, it's kind of just like, oh, it's 2 Thanoses. They're gonna be doing like slightly different things. Are they gonna finish me off with a right hook or a left hook? And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't really care. It's just I'm gonna get punched and I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna be like, okay, this is neat. I don't really see the difference, and I just don't really care.
A deeply misanthropic take from Husky Puppies here. All right, last topic. You know what time it is. It's time for the soapbox. What do you want to yell about?
This one I'm actually going to go back a little bit to like the card design sort of thing. You said Warpath was one of the worst design cards in the game.
Yeah, I just think the incentives are pretty horrendous, right?
Yeah. Like, it's a terrible card.
Yeah.
And it's I find that there needs to be a best and worst card. You're ranking anything, there's going to be a number 1, there's going to be a number 400 and some, I can't remember, it's like 500 cards in the game
it's like
now.
450, 470, but yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I like a lot of people, a couple things. One, I really don't want those bottom cards to get nerfed. Stay down there. I do not care about them. You can make Uatu. Don't bother making Uatu actually playable. Nerf the things at the top that are holding everything else back. Don't lift one card up. Push the things that are way too high up down. The thing that is way too high up at the moment is the new Thanos. But I actually think it's a good thing that he's as good as he is. That is...
I think it's good if you spend $10, right?
Like, I mean, it's
like,
that is
I guess
fair.
it's like this game's economy constantly puts the players in conflict because new Thanos is awesome and cool. And I think in the abstract, if you asked every player of this game, should new cards be awesome and cool and good? They'd be like, yes. And then you ask them, should the season pass card be awesome and new and cool? And you'd get very different answers based on whether or not they're people who buy the season pass or not. And I think that that is the nature, unfortunately, of Marvel Snap's economy, and it ties into the gameplay. But I also think that, like, all else held equal, I would rather they made Thanos than they made Strife, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think if you're making season pass cards, the gold standards for me are Agamotto, Thanos. Like, these are cards that I think are just like absolute knocked it out the park, absolutely amazing, 5 out of 5. Like, if I were to go back in time, I'd be like, you should do this every time kind of cards. And I think Agamotto probably edges Thanos out by a little bit here because Agamotto's a little weaker, which makes him a lot safer to make, right? Like, it's a lot safer to make an Agamotto who's a little bit worse than it is Thanos, who I think is very reasonably the best card in the game, right? Like, that is, even if in hindsight we're hyping him a little bit, he's still pretty clearly stronger than Agamotto was.
Oh, absolutely. See, Thanos is in every deck, and that may feel bad, but the thing I really like about him is let's look at like Star-Lord. Every deck that had Star-Lord had a very similar play pattern. Every deck that had Shao Lao had a very similar play pattern. You play 2 cards, you play Maverick, you buff the thing, you double up, you win the game. Thanos has so many different decks that all seem at least pretty viable with... There are also some other things that do well against him. C3 won the latest Golden Gauntlet. I was a little bit surprised about that, but I think pleasantly slow.
Gotta stop doubting money.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. But it's... I like that he's this good. There always has to be a best card in the game. And yeah, I don't really want it to be a paid card, but at least design-wise,
so cool.
I think, yeah, he's so cool. The only other card I liked more being at the top of the meta was 1/5 Hydra Bob, and you can fight me on that one.
I think that's just super lame, yeah.
He was so cool. He made everyone think about snapping. It's like, oh, snapping is not just this external game mechanic. It's now a resource. And it was so cool, the stuff you could do with him. And it's, I love that card so much. Thanos is probably cooler to most people. He probably, I'm not going to assume,
Who can say, right?
Who is to say? Not me, not me. But no, I am... As strong as he is, I'm pretty fine with him not getting nerfed. Yeah. Like, maybe you touch up the 2 Thanoses together, or like you make it so it's maybe like a small nerf.
My instinct was like, when I did my FOTA, I 5/6'd him, and I thought maybe I was going too far.
I don't hate that.
Like, I was just like, whatever, this is probably fine. Like, he's still probably in a bunch of stuff, right? Like, I think that the thing about Thanos is he's so cool, he maybe didn't need to be this strong.
Oh, he's so cool that I'm kind of glad he's this strong, because I want people to have him see play. And I'll just pose this question. What card would be better designed to be the top dog at the moment?
Oh, no. I think that, like, Thanos is maybe the coolest card they've made since the original one. Like, he's as cool as Marvel Snap gets, I think. He's really sick.
He is.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. I've been KMBest. He's been Husky Puppies. He's going to let you know where you can find him and take us out.
Well, you can find me on Twitch streaming over at Husky Puppies 35. I'm live a lot of days. My schedule has opened up, so I'm streaming more and more often. I will be live, hopefully, when this video comes out, if not shortly afterwards. So come on by, say hi, debate me with your takes. I'll mock, get angry, and say, how dare you have an opinion that differs from mine? But it is all in good fun. And I hope you guys had fun watching this video.